So clearly, when we start talking about things like music, we're talking about a whole domain of ideas where people have been dedicated their entire life, or entire departments of universities, to the study and understanding of music as a concept. But in Freemasonry, we have kind of a very specific purpose for the recommendation of the study of these things. One of those purposes is, like every other thing in Freemasonry that we're doing, is using music as a lens into the realities of the experience, the human experience. And so, with that in mind, with the understanding that music means something kind of specific in that context, what is that? How does that apply to the work that we do? So, music is there's tons of definitions, and I'm remiss if I don't suggest that this is uh, you're looking for, you start getting into the sort of lexical conversation and it just goes on forever. But when we talk about music in Freemasonry, I think it's easy to agree that we're really talking about emotional content. Music is the language of emotional content, a nonverbal language of emotional content. And it has rules and patterns and behaviors just like everything else. There's tons of evidence for this. If you go out and look online, there is a standard, for example, chord progression format that people will use that makes, whatever, 80% of the hit songs out there. So when you start to understand, though, that music is effectively a means of emotional communication, we get to start to look at the problems we're solving in our everyday lives with that perspective. And so, for example, let's suggest we're talking about something as, probably enlivening as things like accounting. Um, there are some folks that there's not a way you can frame accounting in context uh, that they really will understand it or grab it. But if you can communicate the emotional content of accounting through music, things change, right? There is all sorts of ways that we can use this emotional language as if it were rhetoric, as if it were explanatory or exploratory in a meaningful way. Now, I can't tell you what the language of accounting, the musical language of accounting is. It might be, some sort of heavily math-based composition. It might be some uh, rhythms and things like that that really focus on relationships. You'll find that as you start to explore music, it really does kind of open up in a really linguistic way, and you get to use some of the rules of music, chord progressions, circle of fifths, all that kind of stuff, and get from a place where you may be trying to solve a intellectual problem without providing the emotional content. Now, what does that mean? That means there's a reason why, um, for example, companies have jingles. Why would you have a jingle? Well, in the days of radio, you would create a jingle because people couldn't see your tagline. So you would put it to music and make it easy to remember. The underpinning sort of thought there, though, is that the musical accompaniment creates a different sort of mental and emotional hijack that uh, operates on an entirely different sort of physiological context than language. And so, oftentimes, the jingle itself becomes, or the music itself becomes, the replacement or alternative to the message in a way that is so compelling and so meaningful that the message itself is often discarded. And you'll see that in a lot of the, um, like the stingers for things like Netflix, for example. You listen to that; it's designed to essentially get you sort of mentally and emotionally prepared for whatever Netflix content is and whatever that stinger is designed to create. So, as you're stepping through the musical sort of perspective and understanding, don't limit it to um, strictly speaking, like song or melody or harmony or rhythm or any of that kind of stuff. Uh, think about it in the context of that emotional sort of means of communication, and evaluate whether or not there's opportunities for you to flex your understanding in such a way that the problem you're trying to solve or the challenge you're facing or the future you're trying to build, is there a way to leverage the understandings of music to create better outcomes for what you're trying to do? And with that, we'll talk to you next time.